Tactical Supply Wing was formed in the winter of 1970 with the original mandate to provide expeditionary logistics support to all RAF operations. The concept was devised by Group Captain Craven Griffith, who developed the idea during his time at the Ministry of Defence during the late 1960s. Having been declared fully operational in 1971, the unit's role became increasingly focused on expeditionary fuel support, including to Harrier operations during the Cold War in Germany. However, with the creation of Joint Helicopter Command in 1999, TSW's focus narrowed to the provision of aviation fuel to battlefield helicopters, but from all three services. Since its inception, TSW has continually deployed in operations, including the Falklands War, Northern Ireland, both Iraq Wars, the Balkans campaign, and Afghanistan.
What was it that attracted you to a career in the Royal Air Force?
So the initial inspiration was my grandfather, Harold. He was a Lancaster pilot in World War II, and I grew up with his stories. Then my father was also in the Light Infantry, who had a fantastic time in the 60s. So the idea to join the military came from there. And then once I looked at it through a little bit of a mature lens and looked what the service offered in terms of a way of life and a profession, it was, I guess, really the excitement and adventure that the Royal Air Force offered to a young man as I was at the age of 18. And then since then, it's been the diversity of role that it's offered me across a broad spectrum of logistics. It's been the opportunity to professionalise, with the service putting me through 2 master's degrees during that time. And it's the ability to do a job where I have been very privileged to make a difference across a full range of UK activity, everything from being at the heart of the COVID response in Whitehall through to operations around the world, humanitarian efforts. But most of all now in my role, it's making a difference to people's lives and either mentoring them, helping them through difficult times, or leading them as the need arises. So it's been a thoroughly fulfilling choice, and I'm glad I made it.
TSW, Tactical Supply Wing, supply aviation fuel to helicopters out on operations and exercises.
The main focus for TSW is fuels. So we primarily focus on refuelling of helicopters. So where the helicopters go, TSW have to go to ensure that they get what they need fuel-wise. Tactical Supply Wing is a focus of numerous trades: mechanical, electrical, drivers, suppliers, to name a few. And we all come together in one area to work together as one big team, really. And that team should be ready to go at any moment.
We were delighted to welcome you as an honorary freeman of the Worshipful Company of Fuelers when you became Commanding Officer of Tactical Supply Wing in 2021. Since that time, what have been your major challenges and achievements in running the TSW?
So initially, bear in mind, I came into post in June 21. The unit was very much still in a COVID hangover state. A lot of our young people had been sent away from the unit and had been living very different lives to that you would expect someone in the military to live. And we hadn't done our business for about an 18-month period, really, in terms of getting out on the ground and refueling aeroplanes. With quite a short life cycle, most of our people were only here for 3 years. That looked like quite a notable capability gap. So initially it was about regaining our way of working, both here at MOD Stafford, but also about what we do out on the ground. And we did that really well, and we were proud for the way the unit came through that. Latterly, a lot of certainly over that middle period, we had a profound series of workforce issues, particularly to my senior command team. It was quite tragic, everything from one of my squadron commanders tragically losing his wife to cancer through to a host of other quite complex issues. And what that meant is we really then had to come together as a team and look after each other and make sure we were doing the essentials and doing the essentials really well, in terms of we continued to deliver on every operation through that time. We continued to do everything in an extremely safe and professional manner, and we looked after our people. And again, I'm quite proud of the approach we took from that and the way the unit came together to get through that. really intense period of bad luck, I think is the best way to say it. Since that point, certainly for the last year or so and for the rest of my time here, the real challenge is about how we take a unit that was still really focused in doing things like Afghanistan and that way of operating to the stark reality of peer-on-peer warfighting that we have seen in Eastern Europe, and what that might mean to a logistical unit such as ours that could be quite vulnerable on a battlefield. How can we be harder to find? How can we be more resilient? How can we deliver our logistics effect at much greater reach in support of principally our Army and Air Force customers? So that is stretching the grey matter and how we do that, and it's meaning that a lot of our young people are learning skills that might be new to them and that we haven't really practiced since the early noughties before we embarked on the Iraq and Afghanistan era.
I'd say if you like going away and you want to see places that you've never seen and have like a different perspective.
And the opportunities you get given here, are unlike anywhere else.
I like that we work with other trades, so you tend to stick just with your own trade group when you're at a main operating base. Here we have drivers, suppliers and engineers all working in together, and there's no real dividing lines, so it's nice to get to know the trades and see what they do as well and actually kind of help each other out.
I've never been somewhere where so many people are keen to go out and do the job and just so competent and so well trained, huge sense of pride, and I think that's evident in the people that keep coming back.
In addition to arranging visits for our members to our affiliated military units and inviting you to join us for some of our educational and social events, we celebrate the achievements of the men and women serving with our affiliates, which we do annually at our Affiliates Prize Giving, sponsored by the Fuelers Charitable Trust Fund. Could you tell us about the impact that these awards have on the people you nominate?
So I think it's a well-recognised fact in terms of military leadership that recognition is a hugely important tool in the golf bag of motivating. Now, we have access to things like state awards, which are a fabulous way of recognising people. But below that, a lot of the tools are often manifest in terms of a bit of a pat on the back, maybe a certificate, etc. What the Fuelers Award does is it fills a fabulous spot in the middle there. It's a really meaningful recognition. The fact they get to go to an awards dinner, which might be something they've never come close to experiencing, having potentially a lunch there with royalty or some of the other very distinguished guests who may be there. They walk away from that, and I've had the privilege of doing it twice now. The people walk away from that with a huge smile on their face, and not just a smile, with a confidence and a feeling that they've really done something important. And the fact that recognition has been granted on a professional basis for what they have done in terms of how they've supported defence activity through being a fuel specialist by such an august body in that field at a national level is hugely important. It's certainly something I can't replicate and the military can't replicate. So I am deeply grateful to the company for providing that award, because I know it's made a huge difference to those two individuals who I had the pleasure of accompanying to the awards dinner.
Master, wardens, fellow fuelers, honoured guests, good afternoon. It's an absolute pleasure to kick off the prize giving this afternoon. Why is that down to me? You might have asked. The Trust's primary aims are the relief of poverty, advancement of education, research and assistance through awards, through prizes and donations in areas connected to energy. We are delighted to fund the prizes that will shortly be awarded to the dedicated representatives of our military affiliates. Tactical Supply Wing, Corporal Christopher Wright.
The City of London and its livery companies have supported the armed forces over many years. In the Fuelers, we are lucky that our affiliations are closely aligned to the energy trade. How is our affiliation viewed in the TSW, and how do you think we could expand our relationship further? Are there, for example, any opportunities for work experience or careers days that we can share with some of the young people we support through our work with our charitable Fuelers Trust Fund?
So if I start with the first question, how is it viewed? So I joined the unit as a squadron leader in the immediate wake of the fabulous work that Neville Chamberlain did with one of my forebears, Tim Moss, in setting this relationship up. And there was a real sense of excitement at the time about the fact that we'd forged this link. The Fuelers represents, one of the most recognised bodies in the fuels industry in which we operate. Clearly, we're a very small part of that in defence. Well, I don't think there are many other forums that can add some credence to us in the way that this Fuelers affiliation does. And if I look at the other military associates, be it our colleagues down at Bryce Norton, our Royal Naval friends, or the Army regiments who are also affiliates, we look to them as fabulous examples of people offering a energy capability to defence, and I think it's a body that we feel that we should be part of, and rightly have a part of that body. So it's great to be welcomed into that fold. I certainly look on it as a huge source of pride for the unit. I know any of the people who go to the awards dinner, they share that, and it was lovely to see your master and one of your past masters was at our Battle Britain dinner to again keep those links strong. And today I've been lucky enough to welcome a great cross-section from the company to the unit as well to share what we do. As we look to go forward, I think there absolutely are some fabulous opportunities. What we have done as a unit has been relatively stable in our 53-year history. It's been about putting aviation fuel into helicopters. As we look to the future, I sense it's going to be far more febrile into what energy we put into what platforms and how we do that. If we're going to do that to the best of our ability, then we need to be engaging with some of the leading thinkers in the world that we're operating in, and the Fuelers is a fabulous forum to network and to reach out to some of those people. Even just from some conversations around the lunch table today, I already found out some information that will be vital to that journey that we go on. So I look forward to using this as a body of like-minded friends who we can have such conversations with. And if I boil that down a little bit further still, when you talk about some of the professions and the work experience opportunities, we are the biggest concentration of fuel specialists in defence. And whilst I like to think everybody loves TSW, our journey always comes to an end on a unit like this, and we have to transition into civilian life. And every year I see some fabulous colleagues who've got a rich experience in this related industry who leave the service. And if there's something we can do there, whether through networking forums, work experience, to highlight some other opportunities that they can go to, then I think that's a really exciting avenue to go down.
First year I was here, I managed to go to Clockwork, which is in Norway, up in the Arctic Circle, doing cold weather training, so jumping in the ice and rolling around in the snow, which is always good fun, as well as actually refuelling and doing engineering in that environment. So it's really a broad range of places that I've been.
Although we're here at MOD Stafford, people are constantly out of the door, whether that's on training for operations or out on exercises or out on deployments. People are always being rotated.
Climate change is a hot topic for everyone at the moment, and the Fuelers have recently adopted their own climate action plan. One of our aims is to engage with the affiliates in order to support them in considering their own impact on the environment. How are the TSW looking to reduce their environmental impact, and can the Fuelers support you with this?
So as a unit, we largely take the lead for our approach to sustainability from our higher organisations, clearly being the Royal Air Force and being a unit that sits under Army Command at the moment. And I have been party to some great conversations at things like the AFC conferences and Defence Fuels conferences, where some of the expertise that the fuelers can bring to bear has really helped to not only provide ideas, but shape thinking and offer insights that I don't think we could have got any other way, at least without spending a ridiculous amount on consultants. So that benefit through the friendship that this relationship extends, and we clearly like to think that we're a big part of that link between the Royal Air Force and the fuelers, will absolutely help us as a larger organisation on that journey. At unit level, if I bring this back to just TSW on its own, so what does this look like for us? So things like SAF, well, SAF will be managed as an opportunity at defence level and at Air Force level. As yet, we haven't put SAF into a rotorcraft. It's been into the big jets, it's been into Voyagers, etc., which has been in the press, but we haven't put it into helicopters. That will come, no doubt. I imagine it will probably come within the next year. And the Joint Aviation Command, as it's about to be, will no doubt look to TSW as its leading fuel experts to make that a reality and step through how we operationalise that approach. What we've done at low-level unit level, that one of the things is we have driven bottom-up innovation in how we test fuel. Sounds a small example, but we're still using quite an archaic way of checking that our fuels equipment hasn't degraded. We call it a millipool test. What it basically involves is generating around 150 litres of waste abter, and then a sample needs to be sent back from wherever it is in the world to a lab in Bristol. Clearly that's incurring CO2 emissions through the transportation, whether that's in just an envelope flying back from the other side of the world, or whether it's a car driving it to Bristol because we're in a hurry. We've brought technology across that's been used in the civil sector in terms of something called a laser particular counter. What enables us to do is the same level of test, in fact, to a much higher specification test, by using millilitres worth of fuel, and we get the result right there and then, missing out. Not only is it faster and more accurate, but it's got really good green aspects to it as well. So that's just one example of how we're driving a greener agenda from the bottom up.
What does the future hold for you and the Tactical Supply Wing?
So I'll do the easy one first. What does the future hold for the Tactical Supply Wing? I think it's got a really exciting future. It will continue to be absolutely the heart of UK defence activity as part of the Joint Aviation Command. We're one of the busiest units under the Army TLB, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. I think as it looks to understand how it plays its part in war fighting, as part of one aviation brigade, will be a key part of the future. But how we also embrace future technology will be absolutely key to our success. As I was telling your colleagues earlier, the Joint Helicopter Command has been called Joint Aviation Command because we see a far greater use of uncrewed systems on the battlefield, and those uncrewed platforms use very different types of energy. Who's putting those different types of energy into those platforms? We're not overly sure yet, but it's a challenge that I think TSW is very well placed to play its part in. So we'll see how that unfolds. For me personally, that's a lot less certain, a lot less clear. So I'm commanding the unit through till June next year, and then it'll be wherever the career management gods decide that I head off to. My background is in joint operational planning, so it'll probably be back to somewhere like the Ministry of Defence or the Permanent Joint Headquarters, but who knows.
Wing Commander John Smith, thank you very much for talking to us today, and thank you for welcoming the Worshipful Company of Fuelers to your facility. It's been a pleasure, and I hope it has for you as well. Thank you very much.
It certainly has, and you're most welcome. Thank you.